In communication with Southern California, KHJ-TV Public Affairs presents Teen Talk. Approximately 10 million juveniles and young adults have been involved in some way with the criminal justice system. The FBI states that juveniles account for 19% of those arrested for violent crimes. Half of all arrests for car theft and petty burglary are of juveniles.
One noted authority concerned with juvenile crime said that the people who commit crime can be traced in a cycle that can be likened to a cone-shaped funnel. A large number of juveniles enter the crime cone, and there's always a number of adults emerging at the other end. Unless we solve the problem and the cause of juvenile crime, there will always be criminals emerging as adults, even though we intercept a few on the way out. I'm Joseph Feinstein, and today on Teen Talk we've invited a panel of young people who have at one time or another been in trouble with the law. We've invited them here to discuss what they've been involved in and why they were involved in it. Welcome, panel. Welcome to Teen Talk. What were some of the crimes that you did commit? Kerry, let's start with you.
Well, last year I got picked up for GTA, which is Grand Theft Auto, with one of my friends. And I did about 6 weeks in juvenile hall, Central and Sylmar. And I got let out, and about 3 months later my dad found some marijuana in my room, so he turned me into my PO, and I did a couple more weeks in juvenile hall till he got let out.
So between Grand Theft Auto and marijuana, you were incarcerated for some time.
Yeah.
Okay, Stephen, what did you do?
Well, I was back in New York, and I was into coke. I was dealing coke, and I've been dealing coke for a long while.
How old were you at the time you were doing that?
That I started?
Mm-hmm.
I started at about 6 and a half.
6 and a half?
Yeah.
Really? And when did you get picked up?
I got picked up when I was about 12.
What happened?
Well, I was dealing with this one dude who tried to, jump me over, and I just didn't let him jump me over. So, I popped him.
Popped him, that means what?
I shot him.
You shot him?
Yeah, in the back.
You shot him in the back, and what happened to him?
He got shot by somebody else but the snitch told him I did it. A dude that I supposedly would know that tried to get me, put away. And I just got put in Spofford for 2.5 years.
You mean you shot him and then someone else also shot him?
That didn't like him. He jumped. Like he's done this quite a few times to people, to a lot of young people.
And you were apprehended, and what happened to you? How old were you, 13?
No, I was 11 and a half.
11 and a half. And what'd they do with you?
When they caught me, they went to court, and they just put me on attempted murder because they couldn't really find out of my gun that I shot 4 times.
And how long did you stay?
For 2.5 years.
2.5 years.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. David, you were telling me that you had some problems. What? You were 13 years old.
Well, yeah. Well, what happened was that I was on my way to the store, and it was 3 guys, and they were trying to rob me. So I had my father's knife. So when it all came down, I stabbed one guy in the back about 10 times, and I stabbed the other guy all up in the leg, something like 6 or 7 times, and I just cut one of them up real bad. So I took their money.
How old were these kids that you were stabbing?
Oh, God, they were something like 16, 17.
Really? And you were bigger than they and able to do that?
Not necessarily. It was just that I have, like, my uncles and them. They teach me how to protect myself and all. I guess that's what it came down to.
What were you thinking about as you were stabbing them?
Hurt them real bad.
Hurt them real bad?
Just because, I don't take nothing from nobody. That's what really got to me. And, well, it was just, I put 2 on crutches and 1 in a wheelchair.
Wow, very heavy duty. We know that these kinds of things are caused for a need. Some part of you needs some kind of attention. And I'm wondering, what was the attention that you were looking for, or the attention that you weren't getting? What about you? What was happening there?
I had family problems too, That's what started it out, I guess, family problems.
What kind? What was happening?
Like my mom divorced my dad when I was real young, and I had stepfathers, and they always used to they used to be mean to me. You know, I used to run away, go stay at my homeboy's house, and that's how it started, I think.
How many stepfathers did you have?
I had about 4.
4 stepfathers.
Yeah, and all of them, they all hit me.
They hit you?
Yeah, they didn't like me because I guess it's the way I was, you know.
I don't think that it wasn't that they didn't like you. I think they probably didn't like themselves quite a bit. I think that was probably part of the problem. What was the attention you were looking for, Steve?
Well, it wasn't really no attention I was looking for. I don't know what it was. It's the friends that hung around down, you know, in New York, uptown, you know, because there was no problem in my family. Like, there was no problems in the home, no money troubles. Just I felt like I had to be responsible, you know, because I just wanted to go do something for myself instead of always asking my parents, can I have some money this and have some money that, you know, because sometimes they would be in a tight spot, you know, when they really need it, and I just really never had to ask them.
James, you help a lot of people at the boys club where you work out and you counsel with them. What are these boys there for? What's some of the problems that they bring to the situation?
Well, there are some kids that have problems in stealing, you know, problems in fighting all the time, gang violence, and I'm just there, you know, I'm sort of a counselor there, and I just help them, you know, to prevent them from doing it again. You know, I just, you know, talk to them, and they listen to me in a way, you know, because I've been there for so long at the Boys Club of Hollywood, and you know, I just really help them.
Several years ago, a documentary called Scared Straight represented a frightening picture of prison life. Sodomy, rape, and stabbings were a way of life. Did any of you have a chance to see this show and realize some of the experiences that happened? Gerardo, did you see the show?
Yeah, I seen it when I was in the 9th grade, right when I was going to graduate. I had problems then, and they told me it was a good idea to see the show. So I decided to see it.
What'd you think?
That it's not worth doing time in jail because so many things happen in there that shouldn't happen. And my mother, who passed away recently, brought me up the right way, not to get into jail. So at least finish high school and go to college, and you know, have a career and do something.
Good.
It was a
Good.
good documentary.
That's neat. Neat. Stephen, you work in a wonderful place called Stepping Stone, and you help a lot of people. What have the kids that you counsel and work with have told you? What do they tell you about camp? And
a lot of the kids that have come through the program and personal friends of mine in my own private life that have been in juvenile hall, they've said that it's one of the worst experiences they've ever had to go through. And what they did was wrong, and I think it kind of made them realize it. That it's not really worth it, because it's a real harsh life. It's a real harsh way of living, and it's not the way any of the people that I know want to live.
I visited the Ventura School. At that time, it was only for girls, and now I hear it's co-educational. And I can remember that door closing behind me and the sound of that power, and realizing that the only way I was going to get out was when somebody pressed the button to allow me to leave. And the worst thing that I saw was these kids, they had the menu out for the month. And they had lockup time at 8 o'clock, and all televisions off, and all the lights out, and the door closes, and they're closed into this little tiny room. What was it like for you when you were there in detention?
Well, I was in Stillmar Juvenile Hall, and I can't really say it was a bad experience because it really taught me a lot. First off, it was pretty boring. I mean, you do everything. I mean, it's monotonous. You do everything the same every day. Go to bed about 8:30 and you get up around 6:30. I mean, I don't know. I never want to go there again. I mean,
how'd the other kids react? What were the other kids like that were there?
Well, a lot of them, you know, they're from their gangs, and you know, they stay in sets, but they try not to keep them in sets. But I don't know. You just get along with everybody. At first, when you get there, you feel, you know, lonesome by yourself, but once you adapt to everybody, you know, you learn to cope with everything, and you know, you make friends.
David, how long were you in prison?
Well, it was a pretty long time. I really don't. It's like a quarter of my life seems like.
Quarter of your life.
It seems that long.
It seems that way.
That long.
And what was
But-
it like every day getting up in the morning?
Well, where I was at when I was in camp, it was you go to sleep at 10, you get up something like 4:30, go out for inspection, you know, go eat, come back, go to school, come back, eat lunch, go back to school, and it was just the same process. And it was like in juvenile hall, you know, the food is bad, but when you get to camp, you know, food is decent. It is real decent because they cook the food on the grill, and you have a little bit more freedom, except when you mess up and you get dead weeks and you get dead months. If you go to the box, like
What's the box?
The box is you take your bathtub out your bathroom and pull the wall up some, and just enough to fit the sink, toilet, and a little bed in there. That's the box. And you do something like 10 days in a box. It all depends on what you do. Do 10 days in a box.
Did you go there?
Yeah, I've been there quite a few times.
Why?
For fighting in camp and just mainly screwing off, you know. Well, it's bad in the box. At Camp Cleopatra, for instance, you sit on lineup for something like 18 hours, and then you go to sleep for the rest of the hours, and you get up and you do the same thing.
What do you think about? What goes on in your mind when you're in the box?
Oh, God. Well, nothing too much. It's just that, you know, you're there. You got to do what you got to do to get back in camp, you know. And after you back in camp, some people realize they don't want to go back. But other people realize just, I don't care.
You were 13 and a half or whatever, 12 years old.
Yeah.
You're a baby. You're just a little baby.
Well, when you're growing up in New York, believe me, you won't see too many babies out there. Some serious.
I grew up in New York. I did grow up in New York. I didn't get in any trouble. But what was it like for you where you were?
Well, I was out in the El Barrio part of Harlem in New York, and when you're growing up there, you gotta know how to survive. I'm talking about, it's rough.
What did you have to do?
I mean, what you have to do is, you know, you get to know people, you know, because there's a lot of people who come from, you know, Long Island that come to Manhattan just causing trouble out for any Manhattan they see. And, you know, a lot of people from the Bronx, you know, mess around. Some people from Manhattan, all the different parts of the neighborhoods, you know, because it's all separated in islands.
Did you leave New York to come to Los Angeles?
Yeah.
To start a new life?
Yeah, I've changed a lot.
What have you changed? How have you changed?
I changed school-wise. I'm going to school more. I changed in being able to go get a job, you know, and working, being able to talk to people, you know. I used to block out people from me, you know. I just didn't pay no mind what they used to tell me, you know, because I was my own self, my own person inside. Now I'm able to express my feelings to you, you know, to a lot of people.
What way have you changed, Gary?
I don't know. I guess I've grown up in a sense. It's just, well, when I was in juvenile hall, they brought a kid in. They were taking him around. I think his probation officer brought him in. They take him to the morgue and to the police station and the juvenile hall. You know, they show him around and show him what it's like to put a scare into him. You know, and I don't know. It's a scary feeling. I mean, for me, I mean, I'd never want to go through it again because you're just lonely. That's how it is, you know. You do a lot of thinking. That's about really all you can do. And you learn a lot about yourself and how you can change. You know, you think of what you're going to do when you get out. And, you know, I'm going to make my life a lot better. You know, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. But for a lot of people, they can't do that. I mean, crime is a way of life for them. But, you know, I changed. I mean,
Studies show that 3 out of every 5 juvenile delinquents end up back in custody after they become adults. How are you going to make sure that you're not going to be part of the group that commits a crime again? David.
Well, I can really say that we've moved to a different neighborhood. It's more quiet and peaceful there from where we were staying because it was awful there, you know. And I don't hang around the same guys I used to hang around. That's a big difference. And like he was saying, I guess I grew up a little bit, you know.
I guess you did. It looks it, it sounds it.
And from what, you know, what I learned, you know, I'm back in school, doing good, you know. I'm going to church with my parents. I'm also a part of Wings Foundation.
Wings Foundation, what's that?
Well, it's a group of kids who got out of jail, got out of camp and all. And they're part of this group. We have a caretaker. For instance, my caretaker, his name is Mike Cantlow. And the presidents of Wings, like, you know, Mr. Lee Stanley. And you do all kind of different things. They take you to Caleen Island. Like, we've been to Caleen Island, twice, I believe, already. We go out different. We've seen the Dallas Cowboys. Like, for instance, my caretaker, this Friday, we're going to the Lakers game. And afterwards, we're going on another cruise. We're going up to Oxnard and getting the boat, and we're gonna sail it back down here. And I'll probably go somewhere. It's just
you're doing some nice things. You're taking better care of yourself is what I hear happening.
But like, you know, like all the caretakers, they're all Christians, you know. We all read our Bible. Like me and my caretaker Mike, like every week we see each other and he give me these scriptures and I memorize the scriptures, and then the next week I tell him and he give me new ones like that, you know.
Well, those ideas can really make a whole lot of difference. They have made a lot of difference in a lot of people's lives. Gerardo, what have you done? How are you planning not to be part of the 3 out of the 5 going back?
Well, like David said, I moved from a place where there was a lot of gang violence to a place where there's not that much. And I found that there's this boys club, Legion Boys Club. It's really helped me a lot, especially executive director who used to work there, Mike Flores, who's now at Echo Park. It's going to be open pretty soon. And it's helped me a lot, Legion Boys Club. I think if someone has a chance to go to the Boys Club, they should. And one thing it does to you is keeps you off the streets. And it helps a lot. Like, I've got a scholarship to my school for high school. That's Legion. And now I'm going to Berkeley.
You're going to UC Berkeley?
Yes, I'm going to UC Berkeley.
How neat. How wonderful. So they found your intelligence, they found your sense of purpose. You see, one of the things that's really very important is this whole concept of improving your self-respect and your self-esteem. When you've got yourself and you like yourself, things will magically happen. They've got to change. Did they change for you that way? I see you as a person now, as someone who is a lot happier within himself.
Yeah, I feel I've changed, but, you know, I've still got to change some more. I mean, because I'm not really happy with myself.
What do you have to do yet?
Well, I don't know. I'll still have to finish high school because I wasn't able to finish high school last semester. So I want to finish high school and, you know, work some more at my job, and I want to get my own place. You know, I just want to build a life. You know, I'm tired of, you know, I'm 18 now, so, you know, the teenage years are, you know, almost gone. So, you know, I've got to start living my life and looking forward for the future.
That's right. That's right. And it is your life. It's your life, and it's your time, and it's your pleasures that you're deserving. All of those kinds of things. How do you help some of the kids that are in trouble at the boys' club? What do you tell them, James?
Well, I just tell them, you know, that the things they do is real bad, and I think that, you know, it's real bad for them when they grow up, because, you know, if they have something in the record, you know, and they apply for a job, the person that, you know, is going to have them for their job is not going to let them apply because he has a bad record and the history goes back and back, and I don't think it's good for that kid.
What would you suggest as a way to end juvenile delinquency? How would you prescribe, what would you suggest to make things a little bit better so that kids don't seek out a life of crime? Tony, you got any ideas about that at all?
I guess, you know, just have more recreation as you're younger, because when you're younger, it has an approach on your older years, you know, because the way you grow up when you're younger, it shows, you know.
Okay. What would you do, Steve?
Well, like, I would, like Tony said, you know, you just be more with your parents, actually, and the neighborhood-wise, because I wouldn't want my child, you know, growing up as a delinquent, and that's all past me now. You know?
What happens if your kids lead a life of crime and you see that they may become juvenile delinquents? What do you do? What do you do?
Personally, for me, the best thing that I can try to do is just be a friend as well as a parent and try and help them understand what they're doing and try and get some feedback as to why they're doing it. And if I, as one person, cannot do that by myself, hopefully getting them involved in some therapy or a group of some sort can help them deal with the problems and try and work through it. But I think just being a support there for them and trying to allow them the chance to understand it on their own, as well as being a part of it myself and understanding why they would do it, would help enough.
We've learned that a small percent of juveniles commit a large percentage of the crimes. Many times these antisocial aggressive acts are a plea for help, a plea to be noticed. Most kids lack a good relationship with their parents, so the gang and the resulting activities become a replacement for the family. In many cases, a troubled teen is the product of a troubled family. There is absolutely no replacement for caring. The old have to care about the young and vice versa. Love is the answer. Panel, I want to thank you for being here. Your honesty, your understanding was very much appreciated. For Teen Talk, this is Joseph Feinstein saying we'll see you